Hello, class. It's Heather Price again, and I bring to you conflict organizational communications. Now, I warn you in advance when I first started researching conflict as it relates to organizational communication, I kind of really heavily leaned upon my own preconceived notions that all conflict has to be negative, it all has to have a disadvantage and a negative outcome. This is incorrect. So let's just jump right on into it. Now, what is conflict? According to the dictionary, it is defined as a competitive or opposing action of incompatibilities. It is antagonistic state or action as a divergent ideas, interest, or persons. It's also described as a mental struggle resulting from incompatible or opposing needs, drives, wishes, or external or internal demands. Now, Griffin describes conflict as an inevitable result of interdependence amongst people, workplaces, as well as organizations. Now, in my research, I looked to analyze the outcomes of positive as well as negative conflict organizational experiences, conflict management strategies, and how conflict can be a benefit to an organization if proactive measures are established. Now, all organizations experience conflict on some sort of level. It doesn't matter, their founding principles, their size, or their business status, profit, nonprofit, financial backing. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be conflict. It all depends on what sort of conflict it is that inserts the bad stuff. Now, it is highly unlikely that everyone in the room has the same values, beliefs, or motivations. Therefore, like they say, conflict is just inevitable. Now, although I provided you both definitions, neither definition described the impossibilities related to constructive conflict that ignites innovation and untapped drive, as well as to help propel organizations forward. Specifically in the realm of organizational communication, conflict can be of great value, or it can be destructive. It just depends upon the strategies in place to assist in finding the right balance. Now, conflict can, again, have both positive and negative effects. Therefore, organizations should be motivated to find amicable solutions that fit the conflicting circumstances, but that are both beneficial to the organization and its employees. Now, providing necessary conflict management strategies in advance within the organization is going to help it establish a safe environment for the employees. It's going to be something that's going to foster a healthy, work environment versus the unhealthy work environment where you're just like screaming at everybody and you're just ready to rip people's heads off, because we don't want that. Now, in my research, as I stated, my initial approach was I'm thinking that I'm just going to see all the bad things, all the negatives. But what I did not know is that we utilize many conflict management strategies to get results, like serious national results. So let's just dive right into it. We first have cooperative management, and yes, I'm going to breeze over this because I want to get to the juicy stuff. Basically, a cooperative conflict management system. It's basically for like mutual benefit. It's a win-win or positive mutual outcome perspective for one party to win. The other needs, the other person's needs and goals must also be considered. So a cooperative system often assumes that resources can be expanded or traded in creative ways. And instead of the other party being the opponent, the problem or issue becomes the whole group's problem or issue. So there's a lot of negotiation in good faith. There's a lot of search for interest, shared information, creative solutions, as well as change for perception. So this is a wonderful conflict management strategy depending upon the work environment. Not every work environment will this fit. Now, this also correlates very similar to the theory of cooperation and competition. And the reason why it has some of the same characteristics is because it does tie the conflict to everyone on the team. It makes them work together to find, again, amicable solutions that moves the entire team forward with the desired goal. This form of conflict management would apply to general conflicts that affect certain levels of organizational production. So the idea behind this form of cooperative cohesiveness is that the theory believes that independence induces indifference to the actions of others and little basis for interaction and joint work. Now, let's get into constructive conflict, the juicy stuff. Now, everyone is not going to immediately know what constructive conflict is. However, you have participated in it at one point in time or another, especially if you are a U.S. resident. The reason I say this is because the best example I could possibly provide to you of this strategy being implemented on a daily basis, especially if you've been tuning into the news for the last few years, is our House of Representatives and our Senate. Yes, it's deemed as a controlled chaos. However, basically what happens is everyone is provided the opportunity, obviously with decorum set prior, to voice their disagreements, their concerns, to push their initiatives, but they're doing so with predetermined etiquette. So, no, you can't curse people out. No, you can't speak out of turn. You have a time allotted. But essentially, those individuals are representing the citizens of their district, their state, and they don't always agree because they're individuals. They have different beliefs, values, motivating factors. So this is the perfect example of constructive conflict because you have people from one party who will support the opposing party if it benefits the people that they represent or the nation as a whole. So it's kind of like, let me hear what you have to say. Let me hear, your research, your findings. And if I agree that that's a benefit to my people as well, I can put my own initiatives to the side for a moment to make sure that happens. Constructive conflict. Meeting facilitators are trained to recognize the difference between constructive and destructive conflict. So that helps keeps the conversation constructive. Speaker of the House, that's what she's for. But anyhow, moving right along, we then have constructive controversy. It's a little bit different. Constructive controversy actually involves deliberative discussions aimed at creative problem solving, and it can be contrasted to debate. It's a competitive process where one view wins over the other. It is in concurrence seeking, which suppresses disagreement and consideration of alternatives or various individual processes. Controversies are more likely to be constructive, ladies and gentlemen. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is. You'd be surprised how many businesses have thrived off controversy. Let's take Colin Kaepernick, for example. Nike. I think I rest my case. So controversies, like I stated, are more likely to be constructive as opposed to deconstructive. And again, they occur in the cooperative context. So participants must be skilled collaborators and follow the norms of cooperation and the rules of rational argumentation. So necessary skills include criticizing ideas, not people, and being able to take another person's perspective and not take it personal. Now, participants in constructive controversies, they benefit in a number of ways. So specifically, they generate a higher quality of creative solutions. So that's a plus. And expertise is more effectively shared, and participants often undergo a lasting change of attitude. So we're not talking like a just quick, swift kick in the butt and we're just going to make do for right now. No, this is like long-standing change. So keep that in mind. Now, as it relates to my theory, bottom line, conflict is inevitable. We cannot avoid it. And although the traditional business models at one point in time kind of encouraged avoiding conflict and putting policies in place to avoid conflict, it's just not reality. You're going to have to be able to have healthy conflict. And companies have to be motivated to be proactive in putting those strategies and styles in place to ensure that their employees feel valued, still feel valued.